Welcome to the Salt Strong Fishing Podcast. Salt Strong has been helping saltwater anglers catch more fish in less time for 10 years and is now the largest and most trusted saltwater fishing community in America. If you want to catch more saltwater fish, then keep listening. If you want to speed up your fish catching results even faster, then join the private insider community at saltstrong.com. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Salt Strong Nation, Joe Simons. Like diamonds?
Hey, Luke Simons.
Like diamonds. We're talking about why two brothers, these two knuckleheads you're either hearing or watching, sold everything, got out of the financial services industry, walked away from our six-figure jobs to teach the world how to fish. We're doing this because it's been officially 10 years, if you can believe it, that we've been doing Salt Strong full time. And it wasn't like one of these where we kind of dipped our toe in. We literally had to walk away from everything. We quit our jobs and the very next day started Salt Strong with no influence, no blog, no YouTube channel, nothing. We just started from scratch and had to build it. And there were a lot of really crazy and scary times where we thought the business was going to go under and be done. There were times that we had to pivot. We literally had to change our entire business model. And there's some really cool stories that came out of it as well. And so we recently had a party with about 1,000 people, 1,000 of our insider members in Winter Haven. And I had quite a few people, and most of them were either spouses or friends of members. And they were like, hey, I'd love to hear the story. And I realized there's so many people that don't know the backstory on why we did this, which we'll talk about, and some of the pains that we went through, and didn't know about like the burning of the suits. I was like, oh, you never saw that video of us, burning our suits. We literally burned our suits in a fire and completely changed our lives. I mean, it changed our families' lives. It was very, very scary to walk away from nice six-figure jobs that, for the most part, we could have kept doing pretty comfortably for probably forever to be able to do this. So anyhow, I just wanted to share it. It's been 10 years, a wild 10 years, and we'll try to go through and document the exact process, but starting with the why, Luke.
Yeah. And thankfully we did go in head first and literally burnt our way back. Because had we not, those tough years, there's no way we would have pushed through it. It was very tough for quite a while because we had to learn everything the hard way. But yeah, we knew there was a need. So the biggest need was just how many people, us included, go many, many years of trying to just learn fishing the hard way, or just go out and just go. Not having a guide to really help show you the way, it'll just take years and years, and that accrues to a lot of money. No telling how much money I wasted. First of all, on gas, going to terrible spots. Secondly, with just lures and equipment, I thought I always had my issue was that I didn't have a nice enough reel or a nice enough rod, or I didn't have like every color possible of a lure. Like, it's shameful looking back. It's shameful how much money I spent on fishing. Fortunately, I was single at the time, so I didn't have a spouse to really get on me. But it was pretty out of control.
Yep, and hopefully you guys can see the screen. We'll talk about that in a second. But Luke nailed it. We wanted to become the guide that we wished was around when we were going through that 15 plus years of trial and error. We realized, yes, there were fishing guides, but most fishing guides, actually, I would say almost all fishing guides, they're really there for entertainment purposes, right? They're there to get you on the fish, to have a good time. That's why, bachelor parties and people on vacation hire fishing guides. They're there to put you on the fish, not necessarily to teach you every single thing. Like, they're not teaching you how to tie every knot and exactly why the fish were there. Now, there's some that might share more than others, but in general, that's not the job of a fishing guide. Never has been. A fishing guide is to put you on the fish and make sure you go home with either a cooler full of fish or a bunch of fish pictures, memories, if you will. The other way was watching fishing TV shows, right? Because when we started Salt Strong, YouTube was barely a thing. I mean, we were one of the very first saltwater YouTubers, even though we're not YouTubers. There was no one teaching inshore saltwater fishing on YouTube 10 years ago, which seems crazy today. But it was basically fishing TV shows, which, by the way, were 100% paid for and essentially owned by the manufacturers, by the fishing manufacturers, from the boats to the power poles to the skiffs to the rods, reels, lures, line, etc. And then you had fishing magazines. Same thing. Guess who pays all the money to fishing magazines? They're literally owned by the manufacturers. So every time there's an editor or writer thinking about what they're going to write or talking about the next article, it's literally 100% influenced by the people paying their bills, which are the manufacturers. And I'm not saying anything wrong with that. It's just, it is what it is, but it makes it really hard to truly become great quickly at saltwater fishing if you don't have someone really just unbiased telling you exactly here's what you want to know, right? We never saw anyone sharing things like, oh, here's why the fish were in this exact spot, and actually show the spot and then tell you why and talk about the trends and like the 90-10 zone. That was all stuff that we just had to figure out on our own. Like we finally were like cracking codes. It felt like every year you get a little bit better and you realize something else. You're like, man, why is no one teaching this stuff? So that was it, right? We didn't want people to have to go through the same pain, frustration, wasted money and wasted time, which is money, that we did. And we really just want to become guides. Let me play this real quick. I know you want to say something here, Luke, but this is the video. I'll make sure to put a link in the show notes about it. But this is where we actually got our real suits and threw them in the fire. That was at our parents' house there. And this is a kind of a cool video. And this is when we were in apparel. Remember, Luke? We knew we had to make a business out of it because we had no other jobs and our savings were just getting depleted pretty quickly. We knew we wanted to teach fishing. So from day one, that's the one thing that hasn't changed is our tagline was helping people catch more fish fast, right? And then we became like the apparel company that helps you catch fish fast, just because that was like the first way we discovered that we could actually at least supplement some of the money that was going out the door to keep this thing alive. But yeah, this is a pretty cool video. And I went and watched it this morning. Pretty funny how far we've come since then. That was all there in downtown Tampa.
Yeah, and you mentioned before 100% of the magazines. So there are some magazines where the actual fisherman pays for it, but a majority, maybe not 100% for all of them, but a majority comes from the manufacturers, and that's at least where I fell prey to buying so much gear that I didn't need. Is I would either watch the shows or read magazines, and it all looks amazing, right? And so the equipment, I was just trained to think that equipment was the missing link, and it was not equipment. It is all about finding the fish. And so when we started Salt Strong, that was a core issue in the industry that we knew that we could fill in a good way. So we made a pact at the very beginning, is that no matter what, no matter how tough it gets, we are not going to let somebody sponsor us where they give us money and we dish out great things about their products. That was the thing we did at the very beginning. So we had trouble selling fishing courses at the beginning because nobody knew who we were. I looked like a banker, like a young banker. Nobody's going to trust me for fishing advice. And so that's when we got into apparel, because we had to sell something. We couldn't go out. We started building a pretty big audience online. But people didn't trust us enough to actually like invest in a course. So apparel was really it, and that's really what saved the company. Had we not pivoted over to apparel, we would have sunk in that first year.
And then it's also what sank the company almost down to like the last couple months. We were running out of money again, and it's because we had licensed our name, so we had decent following. We had drawn that line in the sand, so we can say it at this point. It's been long enough, but Yamaha approached us to sponsor us, and we needed the money. Like we needed it badly, and we're talking about real money, like give free engines, and we had the contract in hand, and they weren't willing to budge on some things that we just thought weren't necessary, like, scripted things that you had to say on social media. And we're not bashing Yamaha at all. We support Yamaha. We own motors, but we just didn't feel like it was genuine to who we are and our brand to be reading a script. And we had to do a certain amount of scripts every month, for social media, et cetera. And we went back to them and said, guys, we already own your products. I know you're going to give us some, but why can't we just be real and talk about the pros and the cons? And they weren't willing to budge on that. And so that was one of those lines in the sand. Like it was a tough decision, especially when you really do need the money. And that would have been a really big win. We said, we're never going to accept any money. We still haven't to this day for any sort of sponsorships or anything like that. We're going to tell like it is. And you might not agree with everything that we say, but at least it's from our experience, and say, hey, this is not a paid advertisement from someone, kind of force feeding this or scripted out. We say what it is, pros and cons to everything, including our own products that we've made over the years. But on the apparel side, so a lot of you probably don't know this story. It got the Yamaha thing happened. We got into apparel. It started going pretty well. Like at one point, I think we hit like $50,000 in apparel in a single month, which is pretty good for a small little mom and pop shop, if you will, with not too much overhead at the time in terms of we didn't have a retail shop or anything. And we had this group approach us to license our name, exclusive licensing, meaning only they could sell anything with Salt Strong on it. And it was positioned to us pretty awesome, right? If it worked, it was going to crush it because we were now not going to have to worry about buying all that inventory and storing it and fulfilling it. They were going to do everything and basically just send us a check every month. So like, you guys just go create content and then we'll do everything and just cut you a check every month for everything sold. And we're like, okay, this sounds great. And I don't even remember all the fine details of what happened. It's been so long. That was 8 years ago now, or 7 years ago. But it didn't work. We had issue after issue, and we were going made in USA at the time, and the whole thing just fell apart. But they had us hostage because we had signed an agreement exclusively to them where it would be a violation, and we could get sued if we sold anything with the word Salt Strong on it. So that was like another sign from God, like, hey, shut this door. You guys go back. You now have the audience who trust you. You've proven what you're talking about works. Go back to doing courses. And that was one of those. It really was a God thing where we went all in on courses and the Insider Club at that time, because that was the only option we had left. And basically had to say goodbye to apparel for some time for that contract to completely end and be able to get our name back, if you will. That was a wild time.
Yeah, so if you're running a small company and somebody wants to license your brand for whatever reason, make sure that you have products ready to go, or that they have products ready to go.
Well, do non-exclusive. Say, hey, you can get exclusive access for this state or something, but do not give complete exclusive access to your brand.
You can eventually earn exclusive access later. But yeah, we went all in, and again, at the time that was very painful. Again, could have sunk us, but in hindsight, it was a blessing, because then that forced us to go, put focus on just education and building goodwill, instead of worrying about, shirts and all the time and inventory time. I don't know. I didn't realize how much back end time it took to run an apparel company until you start having all these SKUs, people want different colors. And so then you have to get 7 shirts of one of each size for every color. At one point, toward the end, we had like $100,000 or $150,000 of just shirts laying around. That was actually actual money sitting on shelves, and we didn't know how to order the right curves and everything. We just went into it and just kind of learned as we went, and it was very difficult. And so, yeah, definitely not something to just jump into. That was a dumb thing that we did. In hindsight, it not be great, but yeah, once we got just laser focus on just education and just providing goodwill and helping people, that just helped build trust, and that's eventually what helped us move forward. Or the best way you can show that you can help somebody to actually do it. And so we went hard on not test product reviews and just giving just extra details that most other groups weren't doing. Everybody else was focused on like selling a lure or a widget. And we just went laser focused on helping find the fish, because as we know, once you get good at finding the fish, at predicting where they're going to be based on the conditions, you're going to be catching them, even if you have junky rods and reels and a 30-year-old lure. If you can find the fish and put yourself in the right spot at the right time, you're going to catch them. So that got us dialed into the right direction.
Now, I think it's important for maybe you, Luke, to share your backstory. I know a lot of people have also said they're hearing this sounds cool. Like, how did you get good enough where you knew you could even teach other people, like where you could become the guide? And you had there's a bunch of different things that led up to that, but you had that one story in your office, where you were now all into fishing, like, a very hardcore weekend warrior, had a pretty embarrassing thing that was one of those moments where you look back, I was like, man, that's just when you went into high gear and said, I'm going to figure this out no matter what it takes. Do you mind sharing a little bit of that?
Yeah, it was. I'd always just been very addicted to fishing. I just love doing it, and I was very blessed to. When I was around 12, we moved onto a lake that had great fishing. There's 3 lakes that were private, so like not many people fished it, but I like did my best to put a hook in every one of the bass in there. But I once I started learning saltwater, I just became obsessed with it. Bass was practice for saltwater. Because redfish, snook, I mean, they just fight so much harder, and so yeah, I moved over to Melbourne after college. I worked for a company called Harris Corporation, and so I was like really into fishing. I bought my first boat right away, and so like weekends, that's what I was doing, and everybody at work knew that I was fishing, and it was like it's like everybody I worked with knew I was fishing. I remember one morning meeting, I was doing pretty good. Like I was like for just like somebody just learning the ropes. I was, having some days where I just caught some great fish, a lot of days where I got skunked, and I would come back with with an excuse. But I just remember one time, the time it hit me the hardest was we had a big team meeting like every Monday, and somebody happened to ask like how my weekend was. They knew I was fishing, so like, "Yeah, how was the bite, Luke?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was bad." And I had to make an excuse like the barometric pressure was off or something. I didn't know why, but I was mad that I didn't catch anything. But I made up an excuse. Everything was cool. And then a guy from accounting came in, literally like 15 minutes later, and he likes to fish too. So like we're the two guys that like to fish, and the two guys who are known to fish. And then he came back with all these stories and pictures of these giant reds he caught the exact same weekend that I told everybody that the bite stunk. So now I just look like a chump. I felt like, granted, most people didn't think much about it probably, but I felt like a chump. And so I was like, man, like this is what I like to do. Everybody knows it. And the fact that like, if they think I'm not good at fishing, like, are they now like thinking I'm just a failure at everything? And so I went hardcore. Like that's when I started like printing out tide charts every time I fished, marking exactly what I caught. And then on the tide chart, and I would file them away every month. Like I got really into it. And that helped a little bit, but it was about a year later when a buddy of mine, we started fishing tournaments, and then we started befriending other, serious anglers, that people who were into it. And we created a network where it was like the weekend warriors versus the tournament, like the guides, because there's like 40 boats in these tournaments, and about like 4 or 5 guides. And so the guides have a huge advantage. So it really, so us weekend warriors would talk amongst each other. Like we couldn't all pre-fish. So we would just share what worked. So every time whoever got to fish would just share what was happening. We all knew our spots. And so we all had like our first spot, like reserved, where like, okay, like we're going to this certain area that, we knew everybody was. Yeah, but we would just share what lures were working, what type of spots the fish were holding in. And just by that, with just 4 or 5 teams collectively just sharing information, we were now beating the guides in many cases. So almost every tournament, once we started doing that, at least one of us was on the leaderboard, and that was just what just skyrocketed everything. Is just networking with other people who just love fishing and sharing the details. It's not like get this special lure. It's not like, hey, at this time of the day, here's where the fish are most likely going to be, and then go to those spots. And yeah, it was shockingly effective.
Yeah, and you put the time in. I will say that at Harris Corporation, you guys got, was it every other Friday off, right?
Yeah, it was called a 980 work week. So yeah, literally every other Friday I got totally off, and I fished every other Friday, guaranteed. And then I also would go Saturdays and Sundays most times too. I would do at least 1 or 2 days a week. And that was a time where I had no responsibility, so I wasn't fishing. Like now, I usually fish for like 2 or 3 hours and I'm done, just to get some fishing in. Back then, I would be at sunrise, and then I would stay till like almost like the evening. So I would be out there all day long.
Shocking that you were single that whole time. But yeah, I remember that. Like every time I talked to you, like, yeah, I'm out fishing. I was like, geez. But yeah, you put more hours in than I've ever seen anyone. What was the guy's name in accounting?
Steve.
Yeah, and Luke also, next to all his tide charts printed out, he had another little thing that says people to kill, and he had Steve up at the top. And so when he finally figured it out, he was able to cross his name out. Like, remember Billy Madison?
Billy Madison lipstick.
People to kill. Steve in accounting.
Again, another blessing in disguise. Steve, had Steve not showed me up that day, then I might still be in accounting and the finance accounting world, and not fishing. So
yeah, it's cool how God has our steps planned and just opens up the right door, puts the right people where they're supposed to be, even the painful ones at the time. But the other thing that was kind of painful, and I think it was in the first year of Salt Strong, it was right in the middle of all this. We're just trying to figure it out, and our grandfather died. And he was probably one of the biggest influences in terms of grandparents into fishing and boating. He served in the war, was on a Navy or a battleship of some sorts. I don't remember all the details. Shame on me, but he was definitely a seaman. Had a big anchor tattoo on his shoulder, and they're the ones that had that condo in Daytona Beach our entire lives. From when we were born, they had that condo and would spend every summer there. And so we learned so much about fishing there. Our dad ended up getting a 24-foot well craft with a little cabin in it. And we were out just cutting our teeth all in New Smyrna and Daytona Beach area, fishing on the beach, during the day. And he had a really, really big influence on us. And when he passed away, remember we had all 12 grandkids. I remember we were at our mom and dad's house. And after certainly celebration of life too. I failed to mention he made it to 94 years old. So that if we could all be that lucky, but 12 grandkids, and we're all going around telling stories about him, like our favorite memories. And almost every single one was around either that beach house or boating or funny things that he had done. And afterwards, Luke and I were chatting like, man, how cool is that? That he impacted all of us so much. And we've spent our entire lives with him, right? With the time we were late 30s, and we don't remember what he got us for Christmas or like graduation gifts. Might have been $1,000. I don't remember what it was. I just remember like being cash. Like you don't remember some of that stuff, but you remember the exact moments. You remember what it felt like, what the smells were like of these memories he helped create. And that was something that really hit us hard that day. And we're like, man, we're not in the apparel business, right? We're not even in, at the time we weren't selling Slam Shadies or anything, but we're not in the tackle business or any of this stuff. We're in the memory creating business. So like if we can just create education, and whether it be courses or the club, we had started the club at that point. The Insider Club had like 10 people, but we had started it. We're like, if we can just help people go out there and create memories with their families, with their loved ones, the kind of memories that their kids and grandkids might be talking about on their deathbed, their funeral, like that's pretty powerful stuff. And so that really has been kind of one of our North Stars from day one is, if as long as we're doing that and the testimonials that we get from families and friends saying, hey, I just had the most amazing day with so-and-so, a coworker, best friend, kid, single mom, single dad, whatever it is, because of what I learned with you guys, like that's it. That's the stuff that gets us goosebumps. That's the stuff that keeps us going. That's why we really burned our suits. We didn't know that was the reason, but we knew we just wanted to go out there and teach fishing to help more people have more success faster than ever, to be a guide and to help you guys, the viewers, the audience members, the customers, the insider members, become the hero in the story, and really go out there and just, man, have a blast, and ultimately become good enough and consistent enough and confident enough where you go out there and teach others. Right? This is one of those where you hopefully one big wave has a tons of ripples effect, and it impacts millions of people over the years. Is our ultimate goal. And it's been happening, right? The kind of keep going with the story. We went from apparel that got shut down. We started doing courses in the club, and that kept growing. Then we got, I think it was right at around 18 or 20,000 members. We started realizing that, hey, this is a pretty big club. It was the biggest club in the country for saltwater fishing, and we're probably to the point that we could probably get some tackle discounts, right? And we said, hey, we're not going to take any sort of sponsorships. We're not going to take any sort of, exclusive deals. We're just going to open the doors to see what tackle distributors, manufacturers, et cetera, wanted to go through us where we can give discounts to our members. And that kicked off a whole nother thing. And we saw the politics and all of that. I'm not going to go into details on that, but there's certainly a lot of politics. There's a lot of these, tackle stores that didn't want us to have contracts because they're online and they're a bunch of YouTubers. You shouldn't give them contracts. Like, who cares if we like the stuff? Anyhow, that part was pretty frustrating. And I think probably like anyone getting into a new industry, and the deeper you get, the more impact you have, you just get a bunch of haters. We're like, this is so weird. So that was another reason we started creating a lot of our own stuff. We're like, you know what? If some of these groups don't want to sell to us because of politics, we'll just go make something better. We'll literally find stuff that's worked and just improve upon it, which is how we've come up with all of our lures and now rods and reels. It's been really, really cool. And in that point, we're able to give whatever discount we want. Like, so maybe you guys don't know, but there's a thing called map pricing. It's not just in fishing. It's in all sort of sporting goods, and heck, even cars have it where it's a minimum advertised price. Even Apple has it on their laptops and stuff. You're not allowed to go at a certain price. I get it. It's the rules. But when we have our own stuff, we can sell it for whatever the heck we want. If we want to give 50% off or $100 off the slot machine, we can do it. Whereas some other companies like, no, you're only allowed to give $10 off. That's the most you can do it. And we're like, we want to give our members as much as we possibly can without losing money on it. And so that's another reason we've gone really heavy in all of our own proprietary stuff, which is now the majority of what's sold on fishstrong.com, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Costco model where members get discounts on tackle, and that saves a ton, especially now that we have the Otis 2500, that's the custom reels, so like finally we can discount reels, and so a lot of members and the slot machine rod, like it obviously is more impactful with the high end stuff, and that's where the other companies are very strict on rods and reels specifically. So now that we have our custom rods and reels, we give enough discounts where most members, recover the entire dues, if not more than their dues, simply by just buying the stuff they need anyhow. And
I saw, do you see the guy today? It was actually literally today in the community. He took a screenshot of how much he saved to date. He just hit his year anniversary, and he's like, so it's $97 is the annual plan to join the club. And he's already saved $219 his first year. And so he made a little screenshot and says, guys, I've literally already doubled my money back. And that's, and I also use Smart Fishing Spots and, all the other cool things that we have available to members. But he's like, just on the tackle discounts alone, I saved $219 in my first year. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and I buy from the store too. I mean, I buy just like a member, and I'm over $2,000 savings. So I still have a little bit of a tackle buying problem, but part of my job is to test stuff. So we inventory it. I buy it from the store just like a normal insider. But yeah, it's the tackle was an interesting industry to go into, and we really had to at the beginning because we were testing out products, and a lot of the products that we really liked that would outperform everything else wasn't available to members. It was all easy when it was localized. It started in Florida, then we started getting more and more members like over in Texas and really everywhere in between. And a lot of the Florida products aren't over in Texas, and vice versa. So being able to have the store, then we can finally control. Okay, if something tests good, and we recommend our members, okay, let's make sure they can get it. And so that's so for all of our custom lures, obviously there's a ton of testing involved. We have and now that we've grown too, it's been really fun having the tackle tester program, where if we have a new lure or a new color, just new concept, for every month we give members ability to get just one of the prototypes for free. So just pay shipping and handling, that's it. And get a test, again, new stuff. And then we get feedback. The things that work great, boom, we continue forward with it. And the things that don't work so good, we keep tweaking it until we get extremely good feedback, at which point we'll take it live on the store. But that has been just an awesome way to be able to have full confidence when we do actually put our name on a product for sale on our store at normal price, that we know it works, because it's been tested all the way from Texas along the entire Gulf, and then all the way up. We have a lot of members, Virginia, and even north of Virginia. So that again, we only put our name on if it's gone through the gauntlet and passed all the beta testers.
Yep. So tackle, and then the app, the Smart Fishing Spots app. The backstory behind that's actually pretty cool. We as anglers were using a few different apps, usually 4, right? You have to have some sort of weather, and then wind, like a windy app. Obviously, you need Google satellite, and you have to have tides. Like kind of at a minimum, you've got 4. Some had way more than that, as we found out. So we did a post in our Facebook group at the time, and we said, hey, curious, how many apps do you use to go saltwater fishing? And it was similar. We got like 3 to 4 was like the bare minimum, and 16 was the most. 16 apps just to go fishing every time. And we're like, that's crazy. But and everyone listed the apps they use, and we're like, man, how cool would it be if we could create one app? Sorry, I got something on my throat. One app that did what 16 different apps would do. So instead of having to go hit 16 different apps and look what you need, we could have one app that would do all of it. Plus, we'd have this thing called Smart Fishing Spots, we're using a little bit of human intelligence, like all our fishing coaches are actually going in there and putting those in by hand, and then using some machine learning and a little bit of AI on the back end, based on all the weather and the stuff that's coming in. We have a kind of a proprietary formula, the different variables coming in, but we're getting new data every 15, 20 minutes, and that will start highlighting which spots will be best and even which hours of the day. So not only does it tell you where to fish, but the best day and then the time of day, like by hour to go fishing. So all that's baked in it. And we did it. It took way over a year. I think it was with all in. I mean, it was close to $1 million that we spent on. That was one of our biggest investments by far, but it's certainly paid off. And it's something that, once again, we use personally, and we wish was around more than anything when we were going through that phase. But even guys like Peter Deeks uses it, and Ryan Harrington, who's a pretty well-known captain in Tampa, said, "Man, I'm using it every day." Not necessarily for the smart spots part of it, like that's just one of basically 16 different layers. But he's like, I'm using just because it's got everything in one place. It's so stinking cool. So from the contour lines to the underwater shading to all your wind and radar, I mean, everything is right there in the app, and that put us on a whole nother trajectory. We went from 30 something thousand members at the time we launched Smart Fishing Spots, and now 60 as we're recording this here today. And that's just been in the last couple of years. Smart Fishing Spots is what, 2 years old, maybe. So it took 8 years to go from 0 to 30,000, and then 30 to 60 in just a couple years. So it has been pretty wild. And then really kind of the one thing that holds it all together is the community. And that's been something that's been important to us from day one. And it started on Facebook, and we realized, hey, Facebook is tough to control some of the language on there, meaning inappropriate stuff. It's tough to control what ads are being shown. Let's go build our own. So that was another huge investment. And so now we have our own private community that it's broken up by region, broken up by species, broken up by different dates or topics. It's just, once again, it's how we wish things were built instead of just relying on Facebook's platform. And so that's been a really, really huge part of it. Luke, you touched on earlier, right? The power of that network. That community is the network, right? There's new reports going up, I don't know, every 5-10 minutes, and super helpful. I mean, people are sharing so much. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I've had countless trips that have been saved just looking at, or made or saved just from looking at community posts. Like every time before I go, actually I'm in it every day anyhow, but before I go, I specifically drill down to whichever area that I'm fishing, and just to see what people have been catching. One time, I saw a member post about seeing some juvenile tarpon, and so like, I might as well bring my fly rod. I rarely do. I'm a fair weather fly fisherman, so yeah, might as well bring a fly rod. I know there's gonna be some tarpon, potential tarpon sightings. I ended up catching tarpon on fly, whereas had I not done that, I wouldn't have had the fly rod. And tarpon are one of the few fish that are easier to catch on fly than anything else. But yeah, just so many times that a trip has been saved simply by just spending a few minutes in that community. And yeah, the app too has been a game changer. Like just being able to have everything in one screen, where it has the weather, the wind, the barometric pressure changes, even the cloud cover, like precipitation. And what I found is just the quickest way to know exactly when the best bite is going to be is when you see multiple changes in one column. So everything is by hour. And if you see like the pressure changing up or down and the wind switching, if you see multiple changes, obviously, and the tide chart is right below it. So when you have any hour where there's multiple changes, there's almost always going to be a spike in feeding activity. So I've gotten on to so many good bites now compared to before. When I would look at the tides from one platform, I was one of the guys that had a bunch of apps. If you haven't guessed it, because I've analyzed everything, but I would look at tides on one chart. Then I would look at the weather to see what the wind's doing and cloud cover. And I really would never bother with the barometric pressure. But yeah, just being able to see it all in one screen, no ads. Another issue with a lot of these tide platforms is that you have to go through a million ads just to see what you want, and you have to do a bunch of scrolling. So yeah, we basically, for all those things, we obviously know, you can see what people are using, what's working. But there's always going to be some ways to make it better, and that's been our focus. Okay, how can we make our members' life easier? And obviously, putting everything on one screen, no ads. That's easier. testing out products so you don't have to spend money and buy stuff that you realize doesn't work, like fluorocarbon line, right? Something that we were, at least I was trained, was just always the best. And after actually testing it, putting it through detailed tests, turns out regular fluoro or regular mono is a whole lot better. And so I've personally saved a ton of money by just buying regular mono, and my catch rate has gone way up. So I'm just things like that, right? We just kind of got trained unknowingly from the I just like the overall industry, and then once you actually start testing stuff, you see the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that app, back to that one, like the waypoints, you can go add as many waypoints as you want, and especially when you start looking at the contour lines and the 3D underwater, and you can export them to your fish finder. We got the catch log now you could upload 1,000 of your old fish pics and now have your own private, no one else can see it, your own private catch log of all your catches, where they were on the map, where they were on the different tide cycles. So much, the public land, that was another huge one. Right. I go on vacation every summer. We try new places, and in one click of a button, it shows you every piece of public property near that you can go legally fish on, or launch kayak, or go wade fishing on. So many cool things with that. And then, Luke, you about to show something, or?
Yeah, there's one cool thing about waypoints. This is one of my favorite features, is where simply by uploading pictures into the community, and assuming you have the spots on, so I upload the picture in the community, and it puts a waypoint on my map. And you can see this is actually a shaded region. This is within one of the smart spots. But simply by uploading the picture, there's a trout I caught with Otis. But even you can go back even multiple years and just upload your pictures, and it'll go and it'll pull the metadata from the file, and it'll go and plot what tide cycle you caught the fish on, what the weather was doing, and then eventually analyze your map. Right, you can see some other pins right there, and eventually be able to do a filters on the map, where if you want to see, okay, where if I'm going to fish this area and I'm fishing in the month of July on an incoming tide, and you can just put those factors in, and then boom, it'll filter down to all the pins that fit within those arrangements. So it's like a catch log on steroids. I mentioned before where I was literally doing it the hard way, where I would print out a tide chart that just had the graph, and I would manually log the stuff and then put it in a filing cabinet, right? All of which took a ton of time. And now I can just simply upload pictures that I'm already taking into a database, and it does it all for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I would have done anything to have had that 10 years ago. So I don't know, that's all pretty new. I know a lot of members probably don't even know about it yet, but that is something that we're still building the filtration part of it, but it's already amazing, and it's only going to get better.
Love it. Cool. And speaking of the community, where you go put those pictures in to go to the waypoints, and you could do it just via the waypoints as well, like you said. But the next part of the community was the chapters. So the next chapter in the community was doing these real chapters. We took everything that we're doing online to face. So now we've got, I think as we're recording this, 26 different chapters and just some amazing leaders. So we actually have really, really just, I'm talking amazing people. We had so much fun with them the last couple of fishing trips. So every year we take all the chapter presidents on a fun fishing trip, and we just got back from one pretty recently. And these people are going out there every month, meeting and bringing in guest speakers. Sometimes it's fishing captains who are local. Sometimes it's marine biologists who are local, talking about what's happening in the water quality, et cetera. And obviously giveaways and fun raffles, and just a great way to go meet people. I think in this day and age, there's so much technology, and we're all so busy. We don't have the same kind of relationships that we did back in the day when you didn't have all these distractions. And I love going to these chapter meetings and seeing everyone just chatting and meeting, and people are exchanging numbers. And we've seen so many friendships have evolved from this, and people out going fishing together and doing life together in some cases. I mean, I know there's two in particular. I won't share their name because I don't have their permission, but he had told me, he's literally now my best friend. I've known him for 3 years now in this community, and we're chatting every single week. Our wives are hanging out when we're fishing. We're doing church together, like we're doing life together. And I was like, man, that's so cool. All from the community in these chapters. And then kind of to fast forward, because I know we're getting low on time here, like what's next? Well, we're going to keep just enhancing all of the things we just talked about. That app is pretty special. It's the one thing that we can scale easier. And so we are adding new spots in that. We're adding a whole lot more of this kind of AI technology just to make it easier and faster for you guys to use. So you might have already noticed if you click any spot, like any of the smart spots, it'll actually have a button that you can say generate game plan guide. And it's now real time. Like it's pretty cool, right? You can pick the time and it says, all right, it's 6 a.m. tomorrow. The high tide will be this, and the wind direction will be coming from this. And here's what you should be using: the lures, the live bait. Here's how you should position yourself. I mean, it gives you a whole game plan, just like calling up the fishing guide on the cell phone. It's really, really cool. And so you'll see all of that get enhanced. Got some big plans, for this fishing theme park, if you will, kind of a next level of the club. That's still quite a ways away, but that is still part of the dream, and the plan is to at least try to acquire the property to eventually kind of have that come to fruition, which would be really, really cool. So we'll keep you posted as we have more on that. Luke, anything else?
Yeah, and just add? Yeah, just saying that the big focus is just making everything just easier. So with the tech platform, faster speed is our number one focus. We literally have teams working on that now, and we're upgrading our servers. So, if anybody, it's been 6 months or whatever since you've tried Smart Fishing Spots, try it again. You're going to see it's a whole lot faster than it was before. And then even a couple months from now, it's going to be even faster. That's a big focus. We have some specialists coming in to really make sure that gets as fast as possible. And even on the lure side, like we're, as I mentioned, like we're not a lure company. We're not going to try to do that. So, and we're different. So we, if you try any of our lures or even the platform in general, and somehow you don't think that it's awesome, that either the lures are great or that this platform, the Smart Fishing Spots platform is great, the Insider Club collectively, just let us know. We'll give you a full refund. Like there's not like the small print, like some of the old school companies would be, you get all these cool lures and you get a refund, and the small print, you have to pay like $20 shipping and handling. No, like we just give you the money back, keep the lures. Just thanks for trying it out. But we know you're going to love them. They've been tested by a ton of different people. But I just want to let you know, just in case you're on the fence of trying it out, just let you know, we put all the risk on our shoulders. Everything that we put out has been tested a whole lot. And we're constantly trying to make it better and better. And so, yeah, give it a try, and you have nothing to lose. All bunch of fish catching again. The cool thing about our grandfather, not only does he impact his kids, but literally all of us grandkids are all either we fish actively or at least a fairly decent amount. Like we all have embraced the outdoors, and it's just really cool what one person, that the impact over multiple generations can have. So our goal is just to make that happen as many families as possible. The only way that our fisheries are going to be preserved is if more and more people love and respect our fisheries. And it's sad that today's technology, a lot of kids are just getting onto their phones and they're staying on their phones. They're not enjoying the outdoors. They don't respect the waterways. And if too many people go that direction and don't embrace fishing, then our fisheries, that's like the one way our fisheries are going to get depleted and messed up. So
not to mention just the memories lost, right? Yeah. This is, end of the day, this is about your legacy, you listening. This really is about you. That's why we're doing this. We want to create as many heroes like our grandfather as possible. That a trickle down effect is huge, and you never know. I mean, they could be the next two Salt Strong brothers or sisters or whatever it might be, all from that one impact that you had teaching someone else that you loved how to go out there and catch fish. So pretty doggone cool. Yeah, and just we want to say, for if you're listening and you're already a member, thank you so much. And if you were a member, come back. You will be shocked at how much is there, and give it a try. Like what I hate seeing, because this has happened a few times, where someone gets in and they do the bare minimum, because we have a ton of content. Like we have coaches, we have so much to offer, and someone just gets in, they try the app, they try one spot, like, oh, I didn't catch a fish there. This thing stinks. I want my money back. And we'll give it to you and be like, well, why do you have it for a full year? Why don't you at least just keep trying it? Get in the community, ask a question. We're here to help. We want to see you succeed, right? That's the whole reason that we're doing this. So don't just give it a shot on one spot on one day. Give it a chance. Like I said, we are here to help. We're constantly listening. Anyone who's tried to reach out to us, we're very, very open. We're usually pretty quick, unless it's like a weekend or something, to get back with you, usually within an hour or so, on email or private chat, whatever it is. So hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. We have an amazing customer support team as well. They're all into fishing. almost all of them, almost everyone on our team, at this point was either was a member before they joined or one of their spouse was a member. Really, really neat. So they all truly believe in what we're doing. They really want you to succeed. They want you to catch more fish and ultimately just have more fun out on the water. So thank you guys. And if you're not a member, go to saltstrong.com today and join us. You will love it. You will be blown away. And ultimately, you'll be more consistent and more confident and save a ton of time and a ton of money on your tackle. Anything else, Luke?
That covers it.
Cool. Guys, we appreciate you for listening in on this one. The 10-year anniversary just passed. And we really just wanted to kind of document this. And hopefully every 10 years or maybe even we'll do it 5 years next. 10 years is too long. But it was cool to kind of just look back at the history of all these kind of different chapters that have happened and look to where we are now. It's really, really cool. And we can't do without you guys. We appreciate you big time.
Want more fishing tips, shortcuts, and tools so you can catch more fish per trip? Then head over to saltstrong.com now and join the movement. Tight lines, and thanks for listening.